Well, I'm Alan Dale from GaleForceWins. Day 2 here with my good friends at Kean College. I want to tell you, the conversations are wonderful. Everybody's sharing ideas, all with the idea of continuously improving. They know that they can find a better way, all working together, and they sure are. Day 2 kicked off today. Keynote speaker. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you talked about?
Sure. So I am Kim Crosbie. I am the Interim Director of the Leslie Harris Center of Regional Policy and Development at Memorial University in Newfoundland, Labrador. And I'm here today really in my capacity with a group called the Regional Analytics Lab. This is a part of the Harris Center. And the Regional Analytics Lab focuses on all that data and statistics that we have available to us. They take that information, they do validation, localization of it, and then use projection modeling to help inform what we called evidence-informed decision-making, so that when we have municipal leaders, government, industry, municipalities that are trying to make decisions about their future, we're giving them the tools and the information that can help them do that.
The data, from what sources? Where are you pulling all this data in from?
Okay, so a lot of the data, of course, comes from Stats Canada. Statistics Canada has a huge amount of data. Traditionally, the census, it runs every 4 years, but traditionally we haven't had a lot of access to that information. You have to wait several years to get information out. But the last about 5 years, more and more of this data is flowing. So that's certainly a grounding bit of the information that we use. Our provincial government as well, through the stats agency, tracks all kinds of information. And then outside of those main sources, we have independent research groups, we have NGOs who are always collecting information. And it's our job to keep looking at what's out there, let's pull it together, and then let's vet it so that it is relevant for the needs of this province.
Yeah, I love that, right? I mean, it's so important. There's so much data swirling around, it almost becomes impossible to understand how to sort of use the data. But your group is just that. It's helping people understand it at their level and make informed decisions based on it. Talk to me about the intersection between you and Kean. Where does that come in?
So with Kean, and I think we got introduced, so I won't get into the background of how we got introduced over the years, but Kean has been really progressing in developing training programs, education programs that really meet the needs of the province.
Right.
And we can see that there's obvious needs and gaps. Those are the easy ones. But when we look at how all of this information that we gather changes as we move across the province, Kean has campuses right across the province. We know that our students as well as our workforce are no longer being located in the exact same places. So the more information that we can provide on that kind of modeling of what we can see happening now, more importantly, what's happening 5 or 10 years, what we think is happening in 5 to 10 years, that'll help them better plan. And that's what we call evidence-informed decision-making.
And if you look at 5 or 10 years out, Newfoundland is on the cusp of some pretty impressive things that are happening here, whether it's in the more sort of traditional sectors of mining, but even the newer sectors like renewable energy and things like that. Certainly the tech sector has blossomed over the last decade as well. It's an exciting time to look into the future, and I guess the best way to do that is to look a little bit about where we've come from and connect those dots and extrapolate that data out forward. Must be a great place to be.
It is a fantastic place to be. It's an exciting time to be in this province. It really is. And when we think about the work that Kean is doing, all the training and helping that workforce. A workforce alone is not going to work. When we think about going across the province, all these big industrial endeavors that are, going on. We talk about housing, we talk about food, we talk about healthcare services, about maintaining all the services, because we want to have people still around every part of this province. As we see our population changing and aging, and that gets talked about a lot. The province is still really vibrant, and how we build a workforce by working with our students and their families to really want to stay here. I think that's another important part of what Kean is trying to do, making sure they're not just training them to do a job, it's helping build that whole persona, that identity that we love, that keeps us here in this province, so they'll want to stay here as well.
So many moving parts in your world, as you just you touched on some of them there, whether it's economic security, food security, all of these things, all of these moving parts. It seems so complex. How many people are on the team?
Oh, not enough.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I should clarify, our job is to keep all the information together. The Regional Analytics Lab, or RAN Lab, was actually led by Jamie Ward, and he was one of the founding, founding faculty members. He started in this program as a master's student at Memorial University, led by Dr. Alvin Sims. So he did his master's in this work and has continued to lead the lab ever since Dr. Sims has died. So there's him and Leslie Feltham. That's the two core members of the RAN Lab team. We have a broader team around the Harris Center that also helps support some of the work that they do. And then we work with students. One of our goals is to build capacity, and the more students that we can have involved with the work that we're doing, because it leads to better understanding, again, about this place that we live in. And the more understanding we have, the more interest we gain, then the better off we'll all be, for sure.
I tell you, it's wonderful to hear you talk and talk about the vision for all of this. It really strikes of government, industry, academia, all working together for the betterment of all here. I mean, in Newfoundland, we know that a rising tide floats all boats, and data is key here, right? Is to understand how everybody is doing so that we can all thrive together. Thank you very much for being in the conversation, and we certainly appreciate your lens on things.
Thanks for having me.